Hi, everyone. It's Sean. I just want to first say thank you to everybody for being patient with me. The last 2 weeks were kind of a hot mess when I was supposed to do this. And so I'm excited to share with you guys today how to basically do a power hour or a power 30 minutes. I feel like a lot of times I hear people say they don't have enough time. And I am a perfect example of someone who, as time went on, I realized that I had plenty of time. I just wasn't using it in the proper way. I wasn't prioritizing what needed to be done. And I wasn't doing from a list. I wasn't working from a list, which was a huge mistake. And so I'm hoping in this video, it won't be a live power hour, but I'm going to more go over what I do in a power hour and also share with you guys some of my best tips, I guess, on doing it as quickly as you possibly can. First things first, even though it's called a power hour, I think something to remember is that you don't have to do it in a straight hour. I was one of those people who in the very beginning did 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at rest time, and then 30 minutes at night of working. I kind of broke it into sections and I had set things that I would do for each of those sections. You could also some people do like 10-minute increments throughout the day, just the way that their day is set up. I think the biggest mistake people make, though, is not scheduling a time. A lot of times, I know in my new coach training, I'm sure in Annie's new coach training, we emphasize the fact that you have to almost treat this like business hours. If you really want to do this as a job, or you want it to be an income for you and your family, you can't just treat it as kind of like a side thing. You have to treat it as a serious business. And so I think it's so important that when you're listening to this video, that in your head, you're thinking about when you can assign time. And you do have to make sacrifices sometimes. Like I gave up nighttime TV for a long time. I used to love watching TV at night. I gave up naps at rest time when I had a little 6-month-old baby. It was difficult sometimes to get my booty up in the morning and work out or get my, at rest time, not want to take a cat nap when the baby was sleeping and instead work. So I had to treat it like a business. So as I got farther and farther into it, I realized that more and more. So some tips on things that I think helped me get my power hour done quickly and more efficiently. My first thing is tracking, because your power hour is going to be focused a lot on messaging people. So if you don't have a tracking system, and when I mean a tracking system, that means a spot where you are keeping track of who you are messaging, what you're talking to them about, and when you're going to follow up with them, or taking notes on going to join my May group or whatever it is, you're going to have a really hard time knowing day to day who to message. Sorry, got something in my eye. You're going to have a hard time knowing day to day who to message. And then you're going to be sitting there a lot of times not doing anything. I feel like not having a plan creates inactivity. Like it makes it where you're like, well, I don't know who to message. So then you sit there and you're scrolling Facebook trying to find somebody to message. Like you want to have a plan, and part of having a plan is having a tracking system. In the beginning when you're tracking, yes, you're getting started, you're starting to build it. It's not as helpful, but within a couple months of doing it, it makes your job so much easier and you don't lose people. So I think having a good tracking system is important. I personally use, and I'll show you guys kind of really quick, and I'll show you more in a little while. Oh, that's my family budget. Awkward. Let's see. Here is my business activity tracker. So it's just an Excel spreadsheet. Going to look kind of crazy to you guys. I know a lot of people don't like Excel. This is what works for me. But I just have first name, last name, date I message them. This is the follow-up date column. I don't have a heading thing. This is what program I talked to them about, and then this is any extra notes I want to keep on them. I highlight people red that I'm really wanting to work with. I call them my hot prospects. And then I really try to just keep track of as much information as I possibly can. The biggest thing is coming up with like follow-up dates, which I'll talk about more in a little while when I'm talking about the actual power hour. But I think it's important that you're tracking it and that you have something to search off of and that you're not losing people. So if you don't have a tracking system, some things that you can look into is Teamzy. I posted something on my team page the other day, and I can also share it with Annie to share that I found that's called HubSpot. That's like Teamzy, but it's free. I know some people use pen and paper, which is completely fine. I think you're crazy. That's not my thing, but pen and paper would work too. You can do something called Asana. You can do Google Streak. These are all things that if you go on YouTube and you search Beachbody Coach and Asana tracking or Beachbody Coach Google Streak, you can watch different trainings and kind of see what's the right fit for you. Don't give up. So if you try something, like if you do my method that I'm going to show you today, and you're a couple weeks into it and you're just like, this sucks, like this isn't my thing. I'm glad it works for Sean, but it doesn't work for me. Try something different. Also give stuff a fair shot though. Don't do 3 days of it and then say, this isn't my thing. You got to give it a fair shot too. But once you find your system for how to track, this business becomes so much easier. At least it has been for me. So that's kind of a peek at my tracking system. Another thing I do is I have scripts saved so that I can easily get them accessible. If you don't know what a script is, it's basically quick messages, easy, short little messages that I send, or exactly how I follow up with people. And it's just wording ideas. We have a team website. I know Annie's team is more than welcome to use it. It's teamextremeinspiration.wordpress.com. And it's just something that I put together. I invested a lot of time into it, so I would love to see more people using it. But basically, if you go under scripts, it's going to give you all kinds of different scripts that you can use for speaking to people. So I know some people save them in different spots. I just go to the team website. It's the easiest for me, especially since I do most of my messaging on my computer that's longer. And I can also access this from my phone too. So, but it just goes over, like, for example, show you challenger interview questions. So this is the main one that I use the most. And this is kind of going through when someone talks to me about being part of a challenge group or interested in working with me. This is kind of the steps that I go through talking to them. I customize it to myself. I encourage all of you to do the same. You shouldn't just copy and paste from the script. You should copy this off of the team website and then customize it to you. Make it sound more like you. Don't just use my words. And some of these scripts have actually been taken from other coaches too, so they don't even sound like me. When I'm copying and pasting, I'm changing certain wording so that it's specific to the person that I'm talking to, and so it sounds like me. So make sure you have scripts accessible to you, quick and easy. I think that's so important because a lot of times when we're messaging people, like, why recreate the wheel? Like, every time I talk to somebody about a challenge group and I explain it in pretty much the exact same way, which is this little paragraph right here. Same thing with All Access on Demand. I need to create a new script for that, but I use a lot of the same wording. So I just usually have those copy and pasted into Evernote is something that I'm going to show you. This is another spot where I just kind of keep little notes. Evernote is free. I have it on my phone and I have it on my computer. Asana, I think, is similar to this, but it's just a note keeper type thing, which is really easy for me to just click on it. I can keep my to-do list. I do my list of links. Another thing I have is my list of links for sales. You can also do that off of BB Links, or I'm trying to think of what the other one is. There's an app on your phone that you can get links from, but I also have them just on here, quick and easy to grab. Lists of promo videos. So I think that that's something nice to have, because when I'm talking to people about different workout programs or about All Access on Demand, I want to be able to easily grab a video and send it to them. So these are the YouTube videos. I just like to have them accessible to me. I always keep Shakeology tips, 3-day refresh tips, and then some of the short messages that I send people. Like, I think I have one up here that's Shakeology info. But yeah, I just like to have different little quick, easy messages to send. And as I come up with new ones, I try to copy and paste them into here so that when I am messaging someone about All Access on Demand, or I'm messaging someone about Shakeology, I have like a certain little script that I can use to send to them really quickly. So I think that that's really important, and you need to make sure it's easily accessible to you on your phone and easily accessible to you on your computer, because you message from both spots. I already said the list of promo videos. So those are the things that I use to try to keep my business, like, try to make things go quicker as I'm doing messaging. My Power Hour mostly focuses on messaging. I know that our Vital Behaviors focus on a couple different things. My workout, my Shakeology, I do not count as part of my Power Hour. Personal development, I do on the run or before I go to bed at night. I do not count it as part of my Power Hour. My Power Hour every day is focused on social media, messaging, adding new people to my network, stuff like that. So I'm going to go over my list with you guys of all the things that I do in my Power Hour, how I know how many people to message, all that kind of stuff. And then you guys can hopefully take that and run with it. So my first thing is that obviously biggest part of my power hour is messaging. Like I said, I do what's called the daily 4, and I do it 5 to 6 days a week. And what the daily 4 is for me, and I can show you guys, I haven't used the sheet in a long time, but I Facebook messaged it to myself. So let's see if I can pull it up for you guys really quick. Sean, 1 second. I'll look at all my messages. Oh, Sean Lyons, I sent one to myself. Okay, let's see if this pulls up for me. Sorry guys, I should have it pulled up already. This is the daily 4 document. So this was a training that I watched, oh my gosh, from someone in Janelle Summers downline. It was probably like a year and a half ago. And basically they just went over how they do every single day. They just break it down to daily 4s. And this is the document that they use. If anybody needs it, I can send it to Annie and I will post it with the recording on my team page. But it just breaks it down. They actually only message, I think, 4 days a week, which is why there's only 4 of these on a thing. Everybody has to decide how many days a week they're going to do this. I personally am a consistency type of person. I like to do 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week of messaging because I feel like that's where the magic happens. So if I want my business to succeed, I can tell when I've been skipping messaging. My Success Club slows down. My success as a coach slows down. People wanting to join my team slows down. My challenge groups don't fill up. It's because messaging is where the key is. And it takes practice to get really good at it. So I know if you're a new coach, that can be really nerve-wracking to think that a big part of your business is messaging people, but you get more comfortable as you do it more often. So anyways, I do these 4 different sections, and I'm going to explain each of them and kind of show you how I do them. So the first one that I do, I'm going to talk about is adding, because that's kind of the order I do it in. So every single day I add 4 new friends to my network. I have not been super consistent about it lately, which is horrible. I'm just going to be really honest with you guys. But I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways that you can. I'm going to try to move my face. There we go. Put my face down here. I don't want any updates right now. Okay, so you guys can kind of see. So right here is the friend request tab, right? So the first thing is you guys are going to see is I have a lot of friend requests. So I ask for a lot of referrals. I've been doing the business for a while. So one of the best ways that I get friend requests is I actually send messages to my current challengers, people that I've worked with or people who I haven't even worked with, who just, that I know and I'm confident know that I'm passionate about this. And I basically ask them, who do they know that I could help? So my messaging always looks like, just to give you guys a sample, would be like, hey, Annie, how are you doing? I hope that you're having a good week. I wanted to reach out because, as you know, I'm pretty passionate about helping people with their health and fitness goals. I know that you have done groups with me before and have really enjoyed them. Who do you know that I could reach out to, that I could support and help, who might need my help? Something like that. I change it every single time. Or if it's someone who I haven't worked with who says, like, they reply back and say, I don't want to do a challenge book group right now, maybe in the future. I'll say, I completely understand. As you know, I'm pretty passionate about this. I'm always looking for new people to help. I can't wait to help you in a couple months. Right now, who do you know in your life that maybe I could potentially help? I just think it's important to always be asking people who you could help. I think that's such a huge thing, and I think it's something that we don't do enough. But there's other ways to add new friends too if you don't have referrals. So some ways to add new friends is if you go on your main screen. Hopefully this pulls up. Okay, so one of the things you can potentially do is you can go on your friend list. So if you go to your main personal page, you can go to your friends list. And when you go to your friends list, you can scroll down and find people that are not coach. You don't want to do anybody who's a coach. So if someone's on your list and they're a fellow coach, don't go to them and start adding their friends as your friends. Those are their people. You don't want to be going after any of those people. So a lot of the first people on my list are coaches, but Katie is not. So I click on Katie. Katie's someone who's in my challenge, in my groups, and then you can go to friends, and she has all of her friends listed. So you could scroll down this list right here and kind of see if there's people. I like to look at people's profiles a little bit, but I try to look for people that I think I don't know, that I think that I could, that look, they have kids sometimes. Try not to be too creeperish about it, but I don't want to, I don't add guys. That's not personal for me. If somebody looks like they're already doing like a multi-level marketing business, I'm okay with that as long as it's not a beach, like a health and fitness one already related. So I kind of click and just kind of look around, and then you can just hit add friend, to the people that you decide that you think, that you would potentially want to work with. And then when they accept that friend request, you have two different options. One is you can start going on their Facebook page and liking and commenting on their stuff, kind of make that part of my power every day, is to kind of go and look and see who I've added recently as a new friend, which you can go. So if you go to your Facebook page and you want to see who you've recently added as friends, you just go to friends and you go to, usually you can do more. Oh, recently added used to pop to the top. Gosh, I haven't done it in a while. Friend requests, find friends. It used to pop to the front who your most recent friends were. So I don't know how that happened. So I guess you would just want to keep track of it on a list. When you have new friends being added, when you add new friends, make sure you're adding them to a list somewhere. Until I message somebody, I don't add them to my tracking system, because I know that's a question that usually comes up, is when do you add them to the tracking system? And it's not until I actually start messaging with them. So a lot of times I just keep them on a list, and I'll go and I'll be liking and commenting on their stuff and kind of getting to know them in that way. And then after I've gotten to know them a little bit, then I sometimes will shoot them a message and be like, hey, thanks for accepting my friend request. I see you're friends with Katie. You don't want to message people and I see that you don't want to be like, do you want to join my challenge group? Are you interested in health and fitness? Like, my first message is always saying to them, hey, I'm always looking to make new friends on Facebook. I see that we have a mutual friend, Katie, who I love. She's in my challenge groups. And I see you have some little ones too. I would love to connect. How many kids do you have? Or, how do you know Katie? Like, that's always my favorite one if it's a mutual friend, is kind of to ask them how they know that person. So that is basically, so that's one way you can add friends, is going to your friends. There's another one if you go to, you can tell I haven't been adding friends actively enough friends. If you go here and you go search for friends, you can go and you can look for different, mutual friends of different people. But if you scroll down, it says people you may know. Okay. So when you're scrolling down here and it does people you may know, you can look, a lot of them are mutual friends of people. For example, Jane Rickert, she's friends with Amanda Travis, who's a coach on my team. So I'm not going to add her. Let's see if I can find Nicole Michael. I might add her depending on who her friends are. Nope, she's friends with Haley. So, a lot of times you have to scroll down. I have a lot of coaches that are friends, so a lot of mutual friends. JC Olney, I don't know, probably because she lives in Grand Rapids, maybe she could be someone I could add as a friend. I typically try not to add too many people in a day, just because Facebook can throw you into jail for doing it. But I feel like if you go here and you scroll back up under friend requests and you do few sent requests. Okay, so I have a couple friend requests that are out right now. I usually try to clean these up like once a week. I try to go in, and if people haven't accepted, I just cancel the request. And this reason is I don't want to have too many sitting out there and Beachbody kind of flag me. Don't let it scare you too much. I've never had it happen to me. I've had it happen to other people, but I think they're just trying to make sure we're not spamming people, right? So if you're sending 10, 15, 20 friend requests a day and no one's accepting them, Facebook's going to go, who the heck is this girl and what is she doing? So it's kind of good to go in and kind of cancel requests if people haven't accepted. I also add people from my like page. So I go to my like page. I haven't done that in a long time, but if you go to your like page, you can go and look at who liked your post, who comments on your post, and you can shoot them friend requests. You can also do, if I go to my personal account, I might not have anybody. I'm trying to look. If I go here and you click on here, it'll tell you who your friends are. So if you scroll to the bottom, sometimes if someone's not your friend and they've liked your posts, they'll have your name here, and then it'll say, I think it says add friend, and you can click add friend here. And so that's another way you could add friends, is sometimes if you tag, if you do a shout out for a challenger, or you do, I'm trying to think, sometimes I just post stuff and my stuff is public. And so anybody can see it. And sometimes people will see stuff that their friends liked, and then they can add me, you know what I mean? They'll like my post, and then I can add them as a friend and just shoot them a message and say, thank you for liking my post, you know what I mean? Or thank you for accepting the friend request. I noticed that you liked my post. I really appreciate the support. I see that we have a mutual friend. How do you know that? You know what I mean? Like that's usually how I start all of those conversations. You can also be part of groups. Make sure that you're posting in the group. For example, if I wanted to do, I was thinking about this the other day. I have, I'm trying to think with groups. I think you can go on the side part right here. You can go to groups. Okay, and it says you can create a group. Sometimes there's group suggestions for you, that they're like giving you ideas of things that you could add yourself to groups to. But I also think you can do pool. Like I was thinking about owning a pool group. I don't know. This is probably a silly one to look up. It is. I'm trying to think of a good one. So like right when I did Whole30 group, you pull up here. So when I was doing Whole30, I did join a couple Whole30 support groups, and you can click just join, and then you get in there and you're posting and you're getting to know people. If you're a new mama, you could do a new mama group. If you're pregnant, you could do a pregnant group. If you're into something you're interested in, like I'm into Dave Ramsey, so I'm in a couple Dave Ramsey groups, and I've met people through there by posting ideas, tips. I remember I posted in a Dave Ramsey group last year when Pat and I were able to pay all of our debt off, and I posted in that group, and I had so many likes and comments and people interested in knowing how I did it. And I actually got a couple new coaches from that. So you just never know what group you're going to join, and you're going to meet new people, and those are your people anyways that you want to connect with. So I could talk about adding people forever. Obviously, I'm going way over my time on this, but you do want to make sure that once you start adding new friends and they accept you, that you are going to their page, that you're liking, that you're commenting on their posts, that you make part of your power hour should be add 4 new friends, and then take a minute or two and look who you've added recently and go through and like and comment on some of their posts and just like start to like interact with them. I call it dating a little bit, because then I can check out what they're posting, what type of person they are, what they're interested in. That way, by the time I message them, it's not like, oh, you just add me as a friend and you want to sell me something. I'm actually building a relationship with them before I do that. My next thing that I do is I invite 4 people to some type of event. I always try to have some type of event going on, a free group, a challenge group. I'm doing a smaller group this month. We coaching opportunity calls, something, inviting them to something, and if you're not doing anything, it makes it really hard to do this part of your power hour. So people always ask, how do you know who to invite? So where I am in the business now, I have a list. I've been tracking long enough that I know who my people are, who are interested. I always tell people, go look at your posts if you're a newer coach and see who's liking and commenting on your posts about challenge groups, about coaching. Start messaging with those people. Do an event invite and invite as many people as you possibly can that you think might be interested in joining a free group. Do a post saying, hey, I'm going to do, if I did a group that was about healthy eating and it was free, would you be interested in joining? And when people comment, those are the people that you could privately message and say, hey, I'd love to invite you to this group. I go back through my old challenge group event invites and I invite people to a new group if they never joined one before. But I try to have a good list of people going that I can actually invite to groups. So that's the second one. So then my third one is what I call connect or follow up. So that's where I go through my business activity tracker. So if I go on here, my follow-ups or my connects are my people that I like right here. Like I have to follow up with this person on Thursday. So usually I could search Control Find. No. Okay. So I do search for Monday. So this tells me I'm supposed to follow up with Sarah today. Okay, so that was my one main follow-up today was Sarah. So I could then, if I don't, then I can always look up people. I have people just listed for May. So if I do May, see it says, okay, I want to follow up with that person in May. I want to follow up with this person with May. So I try to pick 4 different people that I can follow up with or connect with and talk to. I usually double this number, triple this number. This is where I have the most connections because I've been doing the business for the longest. So I try to make sure I follow up or connect with 4 people. When I'm connecting and following up with them, I'm literally sending them a message. If I'm following up about a message I sent previously, then I'm saying something about that message. If I'm just connecting with them, it might be just messaging them and saying, hey, it's been a while. How are you doing? I'd love to reconnect. How is Shakeology going? Whatever it is, I just try to make sure that I follow up and connect with 4 people a day. And then I do mentor. So then 4 people a day, I try to reach out to that are my challengers or my coaches and check in with them, give them recognition, ask how they're doing, give them support, send them a resource. But I try to make sure 4 people a day I'm messaging and checking in on and making sure that they're doing okay. So that's my power of 4. Invite, connect/follow up, invite, and mentor. Those are my 4 groups. And when you do those 4 groups, you've messaged 16 people a day if you're doing it. If you want to double it, triple it, I know some coaches that are like all in, like, let's go, let's do this. As you get quicker, you can message more people. Just remember that the more people you message, the more messages you're going to have coming in. So I think it's so important that you're not, overwhelming yourself and like messaging 50 people a day for like 5 days and then all of a sudden being like, holy crap, I don't have time to return messages, because that has to be part of your power hour too. Every single day, I send out these 16 new messages, and then I sit down and I go through and I return as many messages as I possibly can. I try to stay on top of it every single day. It's hard sometimes. If you're some of my coaches, you probably know that sometimes it takes me a day or 2. But I used to be really good about making sure all of my messages were cleaned up every day. So just to kind of show you what I do, because I track as I go. So if I send a message, okay, I'm going to go right here to my messages, and I just want to show you guys a couple tricks. So when I'm tracking stuff, let's say that I message Sean Lyons-Roth and we're messaging, I would go to my business activity tracker, which I used to have open right here. I would search their name and I would put that I messaged them, the date that I messaged them, and then I would update when I want to follow up. So if me and Sean were talking about, her ordering Beachbody on demand and I send her more information on it, I don't message them that day. I don't message them the next day. I message them the next day. So if I message them today, for example, I would put follow up on Wednesday. That gives them a day or 2 to kind of, read over the information I sent them. I don't feel like I'm being too pushy. And then I follow up on Wednesday. If they don't message me back after that Wednesday, so if I message them on Wednesday, I'll usually do follow up on Friday. I do 2 follow-ups before I kind of say, okay, I'm going to message you next month or the end of the month. I'm going to give you a little break. But after I do that, what I do is I right-click to clean out my inbox and I hit archive. It doesn't make that person go away. It just makes them go out of my inbox. Okay, that's it, you guys. It's the only thing that it does. So it doesn't get rid of them. So for example, my mom, we'll use my mom. I don't know what I was messaging her about, but if I archive her and then I go here, you'll see her name pops up when I search it. And then it pulls up all of her messages, which I don't want my poor mom's messages to all be out there, but you guys get the point, right? So your whole goal is to my whole goal is to get this inbox as clean as I possibly can and only have my new messages that are coming in be showing up here. Okay. That's about it. So that's how I kind of track. I go back and forth on the tracker. With that being said, I think there's a couple other things to remember that need to be done every single day within your power hour. One is if I have extra time at the end of my power hour, I do my social media posts. So I'm always pre-typing my posts up and putting them in the note sections of my phone. A lot of times I do extra personal development while I'm messaging. I listen, or I do that in the car. I try to do my personal development as much as I possibly can because it keeps me positive. But I do social media posts. A lot of times if I have extra time at the end, what I love to do, you guys, is just go to my personal Facebook page. I usually do this on my phone. So this is if you get done and you're like, okay, I did my 16 messages. I don't know who to message next. I'm feeling kind of whatever. I go to a post that has a lot of likes, like this one right here. And I go down the list and I try to find people that I haven't talked to in a while. Sarah is one of my all-star challengers. I haven't chatted with her in a while. So I'll just go shoot her a message, right? And if I'm doing that on my phone, a lot of times I don't go update my tracker right away. So what I do is once a week, if I fall behind, I have power days, okay? So if I fall behind in any of these sections, or if I just want to do like a power day of messaging or catching up, every single day of the week, 7 days a week, I have associated to a certain power day. So that's if I have like an extra half hour, extra half of time at the end of my thing, this is what I focus on. So one of my power hour days is a follow-up day. So I try to do one day where I do like an extra hour of follow-up. I love that day. I love reconnecting with people. I do a referral day. So that's a day where I just message out and ask people for referrals. I have a day where I just message my challengers. So I take my list of who my current challengers are, my new people are, and I send all of them a message that day to check in. It's usually on Sunday. I have a coach opportunity day. So that's a day where I just message people about the coaching opportunity. So I just mass message people about the coaching opportunity. Another day I message my coaches. I try to go through my coach list and see who's active, who's inactive, who maybe I need to touch base with. I do a tracking day. So that's where I spend a day and I just go through and make sure my business activity tracker is completely updated. It's usually on Fridays. I like to just sit down and it's the end of the week and I'm kind of overworking. So I like to take extra time and just make sure my business activity tracker is updated, that my inbox is as clean as possible, and I get all of that updated. And then I do a graphic/projects day. So it's a day where I work on stuff for the team, or I work on graphics to post on Facebook or for my event invites, that kind of stuff. So I try to have those power hour days. I call them power days is what I call them. And I just have them like on my calendar. And if I hit them, great. If I don't, I don't. But I do try to hit them every single day just to have like extra momentum going in my business. So that's basically my power hour. Some things that I also do that I think are helpful as final tips is I don't click on notifications. I don't look at my challenge groups. I check into my challenge groups. That isn't part of my power hour because I check in once in the morning and once at night, and I'm posting in it all day long. But you could add your challenge group to your power hour to-do list just to make sure you're checking in at least once a day. But I don't look at my notifications. And when messages are coming in, when I'm doing my 16 messages and I'm sending them out, let's say, for example, I message Amanda and Amanda sends me a message back while I'm sending out my new messages, right? Like I'm still in the middle of sending out my 16 connect and follow up and invite to stuff, and a message comes back from Amanda. The biggest mistake I see coaches make is then they get into a conversation with Amanda, and before they know it, their 30, 45 minutes, hour is up, and they've only messaged with like 3 people. That's not good. You don't want to do that. So even though it's important to message people back and be prompt, at the same time, you also don't want people thinking that you're attached to your computer or phone, and that makes them think they can't coach, right? Because they're like, God, she's always on there. Every time I message, she messages right back immediately. So don't be attached to your phone. Set time, set business hours. And when you're doing your power hour and you're reaching out to new people or sending out your new messages, don't get caught up in a conversation. Even if they're like, I want to order. Like, I know it's hard, but finish up your 16 messages and then go back to that message and message them back if you have time. Okay, you'll get back to them. You're not going to lose them. And if you lose them from that, they probably weren't going to order in the first place. So turn off notifications, turn off distractions, treat this like a business. Don't have your phone attached to you all the time and be messaging all the time and working all the time. If you set strict, I call it buckets, is what I learned at my first summit. And what buckets are is if you You have a family bucket. You have a work bucket. If you guys have a different job than Beachbody, you have your coaching business bucket. You have your kids. You have your house. You have your personal interests, your friends. You have all these buckets. And if you're constantly letting them drip over into each other, you just end up with a huge mess. So you have to try to keep things as separate as possible. When you're with your family committed, giving them committed time. When you're doing this business, if you're sitting down and you're saying, I'm going to do a half hour, I'm going to work this business as hard as I can for 30 minutes. Don't be playing on Facebook. Don't be talking to a friend on the phone. Don't be watching TV. Don't be chatting with your kids. Like, I know it's hard, but try to find those center times. Like me, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning some days to get my work done first thing in the morning so I can focus on my kids for the rest of the day. You got to do what you got to do if this is something that's important to you. So I think that's it. Hopefully that's helpful. Thank you guys again for being so kind and understanding. Obviously, don't mean to be sick. It happens. Life goes on. And we'll have another training for you guys hopefully this week. So that's it. Bye, guys.